You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Saving lives by selling collars, scrunchies, and swag. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That's BARKNWAG.com to see the awesome merchandise. Bark and Wag collars and leashes, collar covers, and decorative bandanas are perfect for your pooch. For the owner of the house, we have t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, hats, and even coasters. We are expanding monthly, so be sure to check back. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise too, so send an email to polly@barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Cindy Myers, animal listener and intuitive coach. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi, Polly.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, good. Well, we love having you on the show. And I wanted to make sure all of our listeners knew what webinars you have coming up in April.
Alrighty, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. I have 2 webinars coming up in April. The first one is for humans. It's called Intuitive Listening Webinar, and the topic is going to be on spring growth. And April 24th is my Animal and Emotions webinar.
And what is spring growth? What do you mean by that?
I'm going to be talking about how, well, last topic was on cycles, and then we're going to focus more on how everything kind of is popping up and intuitively when we grow, what the process is when we're going through a growth cycle.
Well, those two sound super interesting. How do the listeners sign up and be part of the webinar?
One of the ways you can do that is to go onto my website, beananimallistener.com, and go to my events page, and there's just a simple registration form. They're free, so all you need to do is provide me your name and email, and you'll get the link for the webinar. Especially for the Animal and Emotions webinar, well, both of them I do a demo at the end so people can experience me doing my work with releases and my empathic work of determining what trapped emotions may be stuck in your bodies. And I'll release those for a couple of people or animals. And for the for the Animal and Emotions webinar, I'd like people to send me their pictures of their pets so that I can share it on the screen with everyone. So you'll have an opportunity to have your pet possibly worked on during the webinar.
And how long are the webinars?
They're 1 hour, approximately an hour. And the conversation part is about anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes long. And then I try and save at least 20 minutes for questions and answers and demos.
And do you get people, is it all online? Do you do these classes also in your area?
I have, but right now it's pretty much fully via webinars. I'm just starting to schedule some in-person events, which we can talk about another time. But
Super.
Right now, the webinars are my main focus because I can reach a whole lot of people all over the country in one shot. So, and I'm just as effective, actually. So,
oh, that's neat. Well, what I'll do is I'll put all the information from your website along with your website information and your telephone number on the show notes. So that way all of our listeners will know about your 2 webinars in April.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back.
I look forward to being back on with you, Polly.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.